Coming up on Lockdown Brewers, it's Workday Wednesday. We are going to be discussing some news, and then we're going to go ahead and get into some breakdowns of a couple key Brewer players that made some big transformations to their swings and why we think they're going to continue that kind of production. Stick around with Vin and Domtron. This is Lockdown Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back, all you cheesers, to Locked On Brewers, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, talking about your favorite teams every day. I'm Vinny Rottino. You can follow me on Twitter at Vinny Rottino, and also check me out on the pre- and post-game shows during the season for Valley Sports Wisconsin. Also joining me is future big league broadcaster Dom Cotroneo. Make sure you follow him at Dom_Cotroneo. Also, make sure you follow at Locked On Brewers on Twitter and subscribe to the Locked On Brewers podcast, wherever you get your podcast. And thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we are free and available on all platforms. We are coming to you from Maggie's basement here in Racine, Wisconsin, and from Dom's apartment. Make sure you connect with my lovely wife, Maggie, on Instagram if you want to buy or sell your house. She's great. She's lovely. She's Mag. Anyway, it's Workday Wednesday, Dom. Let's get into it. You like that Domtron nickname?
I was going to ask, who the hell's Domtron? I've had a lot of nicknames. Dom's kind of the most natural one. Domino, Vin Diesel, because Dom Toretto. That's a caddy nickname from my nickname in Aaron Hill's caddy barn is Toretto. Never heard Domtron before. I'm just going to call it as Calvin Johnson, Megatron. Because me and him are obviously the exact same. I could have played in the NFL, but decided to do a podcast instead. But we got to talk about. We're talking about breakdowns here in a little bit. We're going to talk. Willy Adames. What more can you say about the guy this year? But no one's really sat down at the end of the year now and really broke it down like you and I are going to plan to do here in a little bit. And also another player that he impacted that we talked about plenty this year was Luis Urias. But we do want to get through a couple of quick headlines here before we jump into that. Vinny, I know you saw the news yesterday, and maybe some Brewers fans may not be super familiar with it, or this was from late Monday afternoon, that Roland Hemond passed away at the age of 92 on Monday afternoon, a longtime baseball executive. He spent nearly 70 years in baseball in a variety of roles. For those who don't know, Mr. Hemond was basically what was nicknamed the family tree of several current general managers were under his tutelage at some point when he was a general manager with either the Orioles or an executive with the Diamondbacks or in a variety of roles. And Mr. Hemond, I got a chance to know him a little bit. I was involved with the Society of American Baseball Research for a long time when I was a student at Arizona State. And in fact, the Sabre chapter in Arizona is named in his honor. What he's done for Arizona baseball, he created the Arizona Fall League, which you played in, Vinny.
Yeah.
His impact on baseball we're going to be greatly missed. He was 92 years old. In fact, Doug Melvin, former Brewers general manager, current special assistant, is one of those members of the family tree under Mr. Hemond. And he had a great few lines given to Adam McCalvey, written on Brewers.com. Go check out that piece. There's a quick little insight into what Doug Melvin learned from Roland Hemond. And one thing that I'm always going to remember about Mr. Hemond was the fact that he remembered everybody's name. It was kind of spooky how well he could remember everybody, every little thing about you. And don't those people just make you feel better, right? Like, I'm sure you have guys or teammates that just seem to remember. Sweeney, there you go.
Yeah.
That just seem to remember everything. And Mr. Hemond was certainly that guy. And I got to meet him in Tempe many years ago. Could not be kinder as a young minor league guy just trying to get up. So he was great. He'll be dearly, dearly missed. I just wanted to make sure we opened up the show with him. And a lot of people in baseball knew him really well. And maybe you didn't know him, or maybe listeners or viewers may not know who he was, but understand that he's just one of those legends. In fact, he wrote the first draft of the first professional contract that Henry Aaron signed as a Milwaukee Brave.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's
So
some history right there.
yeah, Dom. So for all the Brewer fans, Wisconsin fans, this guy was the Ron Wolf. He made Ron Wolf look like, he barely played, or barely managed a little league football team, right? Ron Wolf obviously has that extensive family tree, or that coaching tree, that executive tree in football. Obviously, being the Packers GM, orchestrating those championship runs in the '90s, this guy is the same way. Roland Hemond, or he was. He came to my first spring training ever when I signed as a 23-year-old non-drafted free agent. I'll never forget it. He was going around to all the teams, and he was promoting University was Phoenix online to help players, because he knew that the majority of the players weren't going to make it past A-ball. That made sure that they got an education. This was the kind of guy he was. This was the kind of executive he was. He cared. Everybody, like you said, Dom, he's going to be very sorely missed.
Yeah, and the fact that one of his first jobs in baseball was in Milwaukee, I think was really cool, as he was an assistant farm director and a scout for many years. And back with the Milwaukee Braves organization, not the Brewers organization, but I thought that was a really cool tie-in to here locally. So our thoughts with his family. I know that Doug Melvin actually got a chance to speak with Roland before he passed, so that's good to hear. And we wish his family all the best moving forward, as baseball lost a very important figure here at the end of 2021. Switching gears, our other headline that we want to get to, you may have saw that Justin Verlander officially signed his contract. I know I saw some questions. People like, wait, we're in a lockout. How can you make a transaction? There was some verbiage in the contract that they needed to make sure was approved by the commissioner's office, but the contract was actually put in place and signed before the lockout. Remember, he signed like hours before the lockout began. So the commissioner's office didn't get a chance to read over it, and they finally finished it up. His deal is now official as a 1 year with a player option worth $25 million for both years. Coming off of Tommy John surgery as a former Cy Young winner, future first ballot Hall of Famer Justin Verlander. So the Astros certainly got their man back.
Yeah, I mean, this guy doesn't seem to age. So it gives me some hope for some of these Brewer arms that I wanna extend, right? I want to extend Corbin Burnes right now to a $200 million deal. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know if that's smart, but we'll see how Justin Verlander ages right here, and the fact that if he can perform up to this 2-year $50 million deal, maybe it's time for the Brewers and some of this kind of thinking about the age curve that some guys seem to define, and Max Scherzer's another one that seems to defy it. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe Brewers will extend a guy like Corbin Burnes.
We'll see. It should be interesting to see, but it is a breakdown Wednesday. We're going to get into Willy Adames in just a moment, but first we're going to talk about Built Bar. This holiday season, you can grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, and it's even better than a candy bar. It's Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, and it's amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and it's high in protein. You get the best of both worlds. It's delicious and it's healthy. There's so many flavors. You've got raspberry, mint brownie, cherry, double chocolate, cookies and cream, peanut butter. There are so many flavors. People are so passionate about their favorite flavor. And be sure to be on the lookout for Built Bar this holiday season. It gives you that extra fuel you need to bust down the mall doors. Granted, if you're still shopping right now, you got 9 days left before Christmas. Get it together. Shipping's not going to get there in time. So you might need to get to the mall. Might need to make sure you get your favorite things in stock. Look, it's a crazy year. Built Bar can help you get through the rest of your holiday shopping. You can throw them into your stockings as well. Ask Santa to help out, the man with the bag. Get your Built Bars into your stocking as well. And get this tip, Vinny. Are you like a hot chocolate guy, Vinny? Are you a fan
of
hot chocolate?
I enjoy it. Nice. Yeah.
So Built Bar can be incorporated in 2 separate ways. First, you can dip Built Bars into hot cocoa. That sounds delicious to me. In fact, I've got some hot cocoa. I might try that out tomorrow. Also, they've got this amazing marshmallowy treat that they're called Built Bar Puffs, and it's just like a marshmallow, but it's full of protein. So you get the hot cocoa that you still want here in the holiday season, and you get the Built Bar Puffs in there too, or you can dip it like it's a biscotti. Built Bar, they're versatile, they're healthy, and they're sweet. You get everything that you could ever want. And get this, we have a promo for you using promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 on built.com, and you're going to get 15% off your order of Built Bar. So go to built.com, help us out. Locked15 is the promo code, and you'll get 15% off. That sounds like a pretty darn good deal to me. I don't know about you.
You're so much better at these ad reads than I am, Dom.
I'm paid to speak, Vinny. It's okay. And get this, maybe are you more of like a commissioner type? Are you like a fantasy baseball type of guy then? Yeah. I could see you being like a really good commissioner for a league. So you can use Fantrax to actually help start your new fantasy baseball league. Maybe we should start a fantasy baseball league here on the Locked On Network.
Ooh,
so you can use Fantrax, Brewers fans, and you can use the #1 fantasy baseball platform in the industry. Fully customizable season platform offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and even your best ball leagues. And this is the best part about Fantrax, in my opinion. You can take your current league on a different site, on a totally different service, and migrate it into Fantrax to get all of the customizable benefits that Fantrax has that the other sites can't offer. I think that's an amazing thing. You have all this equity and everything built up in this other league. And if it's a dynasty league you've been doing for 5 years, just bring it over to Fantrax. It's free. It's easy. You got keeper leagues, dynasty leagues. You can even have a league of up to 2,000 teams. Ever have a trade go wrong too? You can just hit the undo button. Okay. Like, as someone who's previously ran a fantasy football draft or a fantasy football commissioner, having an undo button will go a long, long way for everybody. So Fantrax has that for you. And if you're thinking about signing up, I mean, we're in the middle of NFL and NBA and NHL, but think about Fantrax for baseball season. If you sign up right now today for free, you'll be entered to win a Fernando Tatis signed baseball. Just go to fantrax.com. That's Fantrax with an X /locked-on. And use the promo code Tatis to be entered into that drawing for the Fernando Tatis signed baseball. Fantrax has everything you need. Keep fantasy running all 365 days a year. Thanks to Fantrax. And go to fantrax.com /locked-on. Go for that Fernando Tatis baseball using the promo code Tatis. Right, Vinny?
I'm in after that promo read. 2 in a row. I am blown away by that ability to totally just nail those, both of them.
Well, let's do something that you're good at, okay? Let's flip the script. You're good at breaking down players. I loved when you did this on pregame shows all season long and postgame shows with Craig and Dario on Bally Sports Wisconsin, that you're breaking down swings, you're breaking down the next level stuff, the scout's eye, the coach's eye. You would notice so many things that maybe a lot of fans miss, and we're going to do our best explaining this, and we're going to start with the Brewers team MVP, and that is Willy Adames. What do you see out of adjustments or mechanical things from the moment he arrived in Milwaukee?
Yeah, so bear with me, whoever's listening to this. I'm gonna explain very high level of what I saw, of what adjustments that this guy made. I mean, this guy performed as an MVP caliber type player once he got to Milwaukee. Before that, not so much. And I know, and Dom, we've heard him talk about how he couldn't see the ball in Tampa, and I played there in Tampa. It is not easy to see the baseball. It's indoor. The lighting's weird. The backdrop is weird. So that, I'm sure, was a factor. However, you can certainly see some major and some glaring changes and some adjustments, not only to his setup in the swing, but also in the swing that he made from Tampa to Milwaukee. And I did do a breakdown on the pregame show I think it was in July at some point. But what I saw and what I noticed, well, first of all, he was much more stacked over himself. And what that means was he was standing more upright. We saw this from a number of Milwaukee Brewers players this year. They were standing a little bit more upright. And what that allowed them to do was to keep their head a little bit more kind of centered over their bodies, right? When players get real bent over, and think about like Ricky Henderson. Remember how bent over he was at his waist? It was
all the way over the plate.
All the way over the plate. It was just too far over the plate, and he wasn't able. Well, Ricky was able to see the baseball. Every player is different. Every player moves different. But for Willy Adames, he needed to be more upright. This gave him better sight lines for one, so he could see where pitches were on the outer part of the plate or the inner part of the plate. But it also allowed him to be more direct to the baseball, right? So if he is bent over a little bit too much, what we saw was that his barrel would get really underneath the baseball early in the swing. It's pretty glaring when you break it down. And again, I did have some video to back this up during the season on the pre and post game show. But if you can imagine, so what I do with players when I work with them in the off season, is I put an obstruction right by their back leg in the hitting zone or right before the hitting zone. Put a little obstruction like a chair or another tee, perhaps. And if their barrel hits that obstruction, that means their barrel got underneath the baseball too early. Okay. So you could see this very, very clearly with Willy Adames. He was able to make an adjustment. He was able to keep that barrel higher for a longer period of time. And that people can see on my video right here, I'm using this pen right here as my barrel is keeping it above the baseball for a longer period of time. And then once it got to the hitting zone, it leveled off and he was able to drive the baseball. And honestly, it seems as if it was that simple for Willy Adames. I know that he did see kind of one of these hitting gurus that guys see in the offseason. And I'm not saying I'm not disparaging the hitting guru. I don't even know who he was, but I did hear that he kind of went to this guy and he kind of taught this really loopy swing to his players that he teaches. Works for some guys, but not for Willy Adames. He really was struggling, especially with pitches on the outer part of the plate, of looping that barrel too soon in the swing, and then he would roll over as 5-3 all day long, ground outs to third base all day long. And we saw, again, the adjustment that he made, a little more upright, getting on top of the baseball, and you saw how many balls that he drove out to right center field, straightaway right field, and this was a product of that. And for me, that's why I think because it was such a simple adjustment, he made the adjustment so quickly. You're going to see continued production from him, similar to what we saw of that mid 800, higher 800 OPS type production from Willy Adames, middle of the order type production. I'm very optimistic about his future because of, again, how simple that adjustment that he made was.
And speaking of the outside pitch, there are numbers to back up your thought there too, and the fact that middle away was actually a pretty good zone for him. If you picture the strike zone as 9 separate squares, right? So you've got up
Right.
and in, you've got middle away, you've got low and away. Just picture all of those squares, right? His middle away zone, his batting average on balls in play over there was 412. That's phenomenal. In fact, it was his third best zone of any of the 9. But then you look at the upper, so high and away and low and away, those are both under 250. So that goes straight to your point. He had so many pulled ground balls that just didn't do anything, and his shift metrics support that as well. Toward the end of the year, you started to see a few more teams go 3 infielders to the left of second, just daring him to try to shoot it the other way, proving that he can go the other way. And I'm glad you mentioned the trop too, because there's been much documented about this. He tried glasses, he tried everything. The numbers are jarring, the difference. So in his career, 171 games in his career at the Trop, he's a 217 hitter with a 34% K rate. Think about that. 217, 34%. Remember those two numbers. Everywhere else, every single other ballpark, including ones he doesn't hit well in, including, it doesn't matter, anywhere that isn't the Trop, he hit 289. 289. Wow. And get this, his K rate, instead of 34%, it was 19%.
Wow.
Like almost in half. So there's something to be said about literally being able to see the ball. Everyone has their own things. I've heard amazing things about the Detroit batter's eye. Even though it's a massive ballpark, I've heard amazing things about the Detroit batter's eye too. So everybody sees things differently, right?
Yeah, everybody sees things differently, and let's not forget he had one of the top prospects and perhaps a Hall of Famer bearing down his neck and coming quickly after him. So he needed to get out of Tampa. He needed to, and I'm glad that he landed in Milwaukee.
And my favorite stat about Willy, and I gave this a handful of times. Remember, I'm a statistician for the TV crew with Bally Sports, and that I gave this the first time I found this stat. BA turned around and looked at me and said, "Are you serious?" Like, very rarely does BA turn around and doubt something that I give him. And I was so proud to be able to say yes, because Willy Adames led baseball in late and close situations, meaning the game is tied or in a save situation or within 2 runs, like as in tying runs on deck, something like that. And in the 7th inning or later, Willy Adames was the best hitter in baseball in late and close situations. He had at least 40 plate appearances, one of the only players in baseball to do that. He hit 410, had 1145 OPS. He hit 3 bombs in those situations too. That's a man getting it done. I love that stat about Willy Adames, especially as a guy who's slotting to be your 2-hole hitter next season. So I'm really excited to see what that can grow into in a full season in Milwaukee, knowing his role and not having anyone breathing down his neck in 2022.
Extend him. Let's extend him.
He's still got plenty of time with him. He's
I've
still
already
so young.
extended Corbin Burns and Willy Adames like
Is it coming out of your
$300 million each.
checkbook?
So, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. By the way, he's not even he's next year will be his first year that he's arbitration eligible. He won't even be a free agent until after the 2024 season. So you're not exactly in a rush. He's only 26 years old. So we want to talk about his double play partner at least half the season when Colton Wong is not playing second base, and Luis Urias. But before we do that, we got to thank BetOnline as well before we move forward. BetOnline has you covered. They've got more props. They've got more odds. They've got more lines than ever before. We're in the middle of football season. We're almost in the playoffs. NHL and NBA are in full swing. And reminder, it's college football bowl season starting on Friday too. And BetOnline has you covered as the number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website, and you can sign up today, and you're going to get a 50% welcome bonus on your very first deposit. You're getting 50% back on your first deposit just by using the promo code LOCKED ON. All one word, LOCKED ON, to receive a 50% welcome bonus on BetOnline. They've got basketball, they've got football, they got NHL, they've even got the combat sports, they got boxing and the UFC, and they've even got your favorite Vegas casino games too. You ever just get bored and just want to play a little blackjack? They've got that right there on BetOnline. So don't wait. Take advantage of all of the amazing offers, including Locked On promo code to get you 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit on BetOnline. The fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now we're going to talk about Luis Urias. Show, as we call him affectionately. Show, by the way, is a very normal nickname in Mexican culture for somebody named Luis. So if anybody didn't know that, I try to explain it to people. Like, why do you call him Show? That's a very normal nickname for somebody named Luis in Mexico. Just like Sergio, the nickname is Checo in Mexico. So if you're an F1 fan, Checo Perez, there you go. Did you watch F1 on Sunday, by the way, Vinny? Just sidebar.
No, I didn't. What happened?
Did you see Twitter exploding and people talking about it? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. This is a baseball podcast. I don't want to flood people with it, but watch Drive to Survive on Netflix. 10 out of 10.
Oh.
Big fan.
We're always looking for new Netflix stuff. Okay.
No, there's great stuff. Great stuff. Anyway, we're talking about Show. We're talking about Luis Urias. I think one of the things that, and you're going to break him down a little deeper, and the fact is, my favorite thing about Show, he has already seen a lot in baseball. He's been traded. He's played for two different teams in the big leagues. He's played in on a playoff roster. He's been traded to a team that then went to the playoffs. He's been low with his defense. He's been high with his defense, as we saw in Game 4 of the postseason of the NLDS. And all of this, and he's only 24 years old. I think that's amazing for how much experience he has. He was a former top prospect in the Padres organization. And here he is. He's going to be likely the third baseman of the future for now, at least for this season. Moving forward, what do you want to say about Luis Urias and his breakdown of the 2021 season?
So another guy that made a huge, in my opinion, an absolute transformation with his production. So different from Willy Adames. I actually think Willy Adames is extremely talented player, like just naturally talented, has incredible amount of twitch, hand quickness, burst when he runs, all this. He's an athlete. Contrarily, I don't see the same thing from Luis Urias. When I was scouting for the Rangers, I saw this guy in the Arizona Fall League, and I'm like, what's the big deal? Where's the hype? And honestly, I'm guessing the Padres saw the same thing in that they traded him. Teams usually don't trade top prospects away like this. I will say now, looking back after the 2021 season and the way that Show performed, I was wrong, right? Scouts aren't always right. I was right probably the majority of the time, more than most scouts, but I was wrong on this kid. I mean, he's more talented than you think. He is a ball player. He has very, very good strike zone judgment. So that is why the Brewers acquired him, because they knew that they could get the best out of him. They could actually magnify his abilities and kind of tweak some things with what he was doing in order to kind of tap into some more power, tap into some more extra base hit potential. And what they did specifically, and I know this for a fact, talking to the hitting coaches, talking to Andy Haynes when he was employed by the Brewers, what they did was similar to Willy Adames in that he needed to be stacked more. He was leaning too far over the plate. So he actually, Dom's exemplifying it right there on camera. He actually leaned back, actually had to really over exaggerate the move in that he was actually, and we all saw the goofy looking move that he made whenever he was up at the plate, where he would move his head way back behind his heels as he was getting ready for the pitch. Now, once he started his leg kick, that would get him stacked in the right position, and he was ready to hit. Now, the other thing that he did do, so that gave him better sight lines for one, gave him better lanes to look at for an inside pitch to an outside pitch, up, down, everything. And that strike zone judgment actually improved as good as it was. But the other thing that he did, or what that did for him, was not allowed him to close off too much, especially with his shoulder. His front shoulder would really dig deep and really point almost towards the second baseman in that move before. And now what he's doing is he's staying on line more. He's staying kind of on line with the pitcher. He's closing off a hair, but not as much. And that's allowing him to see that inside pitch better, allowing them to have clearance to that inside pitch. And what you find with his spray charts, if you pull up Baseball Savant or just find his spray charts from 2021 and compare it to the other seasons that he's been in the big leagues, including 2020, and you'll find that he was pulling the ball in the air with authority a lot more because of that, right? So he was able to take a little bit more chances out in front, again, because I think he trusted things more. And you really saw this kid take off. And I point to where he got really consistent with this during that game where they came back against the Cubs when it was Andy Ashby or Aaron Ashby's start. And didn't they beat the Cubs like 23-7 or something that game?
17 runs, and Show had 5 extra base hits in that game.
Yes. I think that you can pinpoint to that game when he really made the adjustment and really got comfortable and consistent with that adjustment. And I even broke it down in the pre and post game show where you saw similar numbers from Alex Bregman, similar spray charts. Not necessarily, I don't think he's Alex Bregman because I don't think there is that kind of hand quickness and that kind of strength from such a smaller body. But that's a similar comp here. It's a smaller body. It's a third baseman now, same as Alex Bregman, and it's also the ability to pull the ball with authority in the air, and really just and he's kind of the other thing that he's done is he's so smart he can kind of pick pitches, and he can kind of feel along with the pitcher when that pitcher might be coming in on him, and that's exactly what Bregman does too. And then he also has the ability to fight off that nasty slider down and away and lay off that slide. That's the key. Lay off that nasty slider down and away as well. So those are the adjustments I saw from Luis Urias. I actually talked to the hitting coaches about him as well. And I think similar production is coming from him as well. The defense is the question for me. Hopefully he gets consistent with it, with the throwing. Hopefully he will. But that's where I see Wicho going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you there on everything you said. And we talked about Willie. I mean, these two kind of go hand in hand. They're best friends on the team. Luis has said that Willie is like a big brother to him. And you look at the numbers pre-Willie and post-Willie arrival, it's jarring. He was hitting 208 when Willie arrived. He already had 9 errors in 40 games.
Yeah.
And then 262 to close after Willy Adames arrived. And while he had 15 errors, most of those throwing in those final 110 games, think about that. 9 errors in 40 versus 15 errors in 110. There's improvement there. There's more sample size. He's also playing more third base now upon the arrival of Adames, no longer the everyday shortstop, which, third base, you tend to have a little more time. And it seemed like it worked out for him counterintuitively that when he didn't have time, when he had to just instinctively react and throw, it was better for him. I don't know about if you noticed that as well, if you agree with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, I think mentally it takes a little bit of pressure off you not to have to be the middle of the diamond player, that captain of your infield to play shortstop. I think moving over to third base, there's maybe less expectations for you to be that defensive wizard. And he ended up becoming a defensive wizard at third base with some of those plays that he made. And you mentioned Game 4 of the playoffs, some of those diving plays. He throws the ball really well on the run, so maybe he's a guy like Robin Ventura actually had some throwing issues with the White Sox back in the day. He actually had to make every routine play on the run. We'll see if I'm not saying Luis Urias is going to have to do that, but maybe that is something we see because he does do a nice job of throwing the ball on the run. So, yeah, we'll see.
He had a career year, almost 250. He's a 24-year-old going through a variety of roles and durable 150 games last season as well. And he had a 345 on base, 789 OPS out of a undersized third baseman. Normally you think third base is going to be a lot of pop. He had 23 homers. He's 5'9". That's a generous 5'9", because I'm 5'8". Yeah, I don't know if Luis is taller than me. Just saying. But I totally get it. Spikes add an inch, so it's all good. I don't wear spikes anymore. But yeah, I think these were really interesting breakdowns. I really appreciate you diving in on kind of a scout/coach perspective on what these guys are probably working on. We'll have a few more of these breakdowns. And for those wondering about the YouTube or about like the kids that sent in videos to you, all the parents that want to have you break down their kids' swings, that's coming. We promise. We want to make sure that it's the best product possible. It's going to live on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe to Locked On Brewers right there on YouTube. We'll have the videos up there with Vinny breaking down the swings. I think you know what you're talking about, right, Vinny?
I've been doing it for so long. I love doing it. That's the thing. Keep those videos coming. Like Dom said, that's going to live on YouTube. I'll break down. I'll kind of. It'll be a similar look to what you're looking at right now, except for Dom's beautiful face. We're going to have like a screen share
of face
your
for radio.
kids.
Don't give me that.
My mother-in-law said you're a very good-looking guy, by the way. So
well, thank you.
It's getting weird. Sorry, it's getting a little bit weird right now. But anyway,
that's gonna go straight on my Hinge profile.
We'll have a screen share here where Dom's face is on YouTube, and I'll do a couple-minute breakdowns of the swings, and keep those coming.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. One thing we've got coming, and we've been talking back and forth about this, and this is how we're going to say goodbye. Coming up, we're going to start doing a countdown of the games of the year of 2021. This was really hard to break down. I've been really having a lot of fun looking back at these games. We tweeted it today saying, hey, what were your favorite games? And I can't say every single response is on this list already. Off the top of your head, what was your favorite game of the year of 2021?
My favorite game is when they clinched at home against the Mets. I love the fact that they had to sweep the Mets, and their playoff contention was, their winning of the NL Central was in doubt at that point because the Cardinals wouldn't lose. So they had to sweep the Mets, and they did it, and they did it at home. How about you?
I think that one's up there, and the no-hitter and the Vogelback game are obvious picks. But aside from those, I remember this game in May against the Padres where they were down, and then Urias hits a homer, Adames hits a homer. They go into extras, and they eventually win it against the Padres. This is May, and we all think the Padres are going to be like the class of the NL West. So yeah, that's one of the games. That was one of the first home games for Willy Adames too, and he had like 3 hits in the game. It was insane. That was one of my favorite games as well. And the Burns 10 straight strikeouts against the Cubs. Those are both going to make some appearances on this countdown. But that countdown starts tomorrow. Really looking forward to reliving some of these games with you, Vinny. And we'll have it throughout the rest of the offseason. And we've got a lot more coming. And I'm really excited to get things going here, man. Let's get some content here on Locked On Brewers. And me and you, Vinny, we're going to have a lot of fun, man.
Love it. No, this was a great show. And Dom, I love that you're kind of, I don't know, hosting, I guess you would say, because I was struggling.
This is a team effort, man. This is a team sport. Baseball is a team sport. Podcasting Locked On is a team effort. So with that, we hope you tune in tomorrow. We're going to start our countdown of the games of the year of the 2021 season as we get ready to move forward with the rest of the 2021 calendar year. Hopefully this lockout ends sooner as opposed to later. But he's Vinny. I'm Dominic. Thanks so much. Remember to like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, share Locked On Brewers wherever you get your podcast. Check out our YouTube channel as well, Locked On Brewers, and be sure to keep an eye out for all of our content in the upcoming year as we get closer and closer to Brewers baseball returning. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.